If you've never met someone that doesn't use a case, hi, I'm Dante. I picked up the iPhone 16 Pro Max right at launch. Do I think it delivered on what it promised? Do I regret trading in my 15 Pro Max? Let's get into my long-term review. Let's start with this feature. The camera. I've been a content creator for 10 years, and one of the biggest lessons I've learned over that time is the best camera you have is the one you have on you. I've always looked at my phone as another camera in my lineup. If I'm in the studio, I'm surrounded by cameras to choose from that can produce a beautiful image. If I'm out on a walk in the park, my options disappear and I'm limited to just one, my iPhone. If I only have one option, I need it to be the best option for my workflow. The iPhone has historically had a great camera. It's one of the reasons I switched from Android in 2020. The default camera is great. The color science, the stabilization, the low light are all great. Macro mode is my only complaint. I hate whenever the camera switches to that and then you can't switch mid-recording. It's not a great camera setup. But the 16 Pro Max introduced features for professionals like myself. 4K 120 was added, and it works really well. I actually used it to shoot a Honda commercial. ProRes isn't new, but if I want the ability to color grade and make changes in post, which is the edit, I have that ability that's in my pocket, and I must say, having that in my pocket is amazing. Will it hold up against my rig or even my content creation camera? Probably not. It's a very solid tool that's held up well over time, and there's a reason that it has garnered so much praise. Something that won't get as much of my praise is the physical iPhone itself. I'll admit, I rock no case on my phone, but I have always been overly cautious with every single piece of tech that I own. And with the few drops that have happened, it's held up very well. This is the first iPhone that I've actually managed to crack to some degree. Not severe, but I did pull it off. I've owned an iPhone 11 Pro Max, a 13 Pro Max, a 15 Pro Max, and now the 16 Pro Max. And all of the others have held up despite having those few drops. No cracks, no scratches, no blemishes. But the 16 Pro Max is the very first one I've been able to crack. But I gotta say, the phone has held up very well in just about every other way. Like for example, the battery. Having battery efficiency and a good battery level is the difference between a full day of productivity and efficiency or having to plan your day around your battery level. If you're constantly tethered to a power source, portable or not, the 16 Pro Max can break that chain. On production days, I'm not on my phone much, and I've gone home with over 75% battery before. And on heavy usage days, I struggle to get that battery level below 30%, and it'll prompt me for low power mode when I'm down and relaxing for the day. By the 8-month mark with my other iPhones, all of them had seen some level of battery degradation. But with this one, even with a cycle count of 178, I've managed to keep it at 100% max capacity as well as normal battery health. Next, let's talk about the soul of the iPhone, the software. iOS is obviously snappy. It's efficient, it's quick, and it hasn't glitched for me. When the iPhone first launched, I did experience a few glitches with the action button specifically because I have it set to video camera and ProRes quality. 1 out of every 20 times, the phone would completely reboot. That was only for the first month or so. Once they released the first patch, that's whenever that issue went away completely. Android users might roast iOS for its lack of openness and customization, which, fair enough, valid points. I also don't hate your green bubbles, and also RCS is now a thing, so now we have read receipts and actual image quality when I send you things. I genuinely wish phones could just get along now. But as a creative that utilizes Apple products to make these videos for you, iOS just makes sense. AirDrop alone is a game changer. Continuity camera allows me to use my iPhone as a webcam, which is insanely useful. But let's talk about the usefulness of Apple's most heavily marketed feature, Apple Intelligence. Artificial intelligence is something that I'm no stranger to using. Like most people, I've experimented with ChatGPT to see how it can enhance my workflow. I've only found it helpful in certain areas though. Artificial intelligence has helped me create custom packages for clients before, and then during these discovery calls and meetings, AI can help me with the note-taking process so I don't miss anything. As a one-man show, it can be complicated to cover all the bases at all times, so it's nice to have something that can see your blind spots. But these programs are not perfect, and Apple Intelligence is no exception. It'll summarize notifications in the notification bubble, but it's not always great at it. The photo cleanup tool is not my favorite. I'd rather just dust off my BFA in graphic design if I want to clean up photos properly. If you're wondering why it looks beat up like this, just watch my podcast, I'll link it below. It'll all make sense. Genmoji can create custom emojis, but I've always thought that's gimmicky. I also don't need my handheld as I figure out how to respond to a challenging email or even a text message, so the smart reply features aren't really for me. For something that was advertised as the selling point of a phone upgrade, which wasn't even available when this thing got dropped off at my doorstep, that's quite a letdown, to be honest. Which had me questioning, should I have kept my 15 Pro Max? I will admit the 16 Pro Max does have some features that my 15 Pro Max did not. First was actually good battery life. Don't get me wrong, my 15 Pro Max was no slouch, but the early battery degradation as well as less efficiency had me reaching for a charger more. The second is 4K 120 as well as the wide angle 48 megapixel photos. Full transparency, for the average person, you don't need these features. I prioritize quality in my work, and based on the comments, you guys appreciate that. So having a tool that's capable of capturing quality that's in my pocket is essential. And third is a crack, which I'm not gonna hold it against this iPhone specifically because I'll be honest, I think I've dropped this one the most out of all the previous iPhones. So realistically, it was probably just a matter of time. In the first month of the upgrade, I regretted it. I thought that all I did was buy a pink tint iPhone, which I really do think that the color was false advertising, because had I known that, I would have just gone with like the regular desert titanium. But I sit here 8 months later with this thing, and to be honest, I don't regret it. I like it and think it's a great tool, but let me say this. If you're just trying to get into the Apple ecosystem as a content creator and you don't need some of those extremely pro level features, I would opt for the 15 Pro Max instead. The 16 Pro Max is for heavy users that need that full day productivity and they need those Apple Intelligence features. I guess we'll see what Apple's cooking up with the 17 Pro Max later this year, but don't skip over the 15 Pro Max or the 16 Pro Max. They're both solid devices, but think about what's best for your needs. The 16 Pro Max is my daily driver, and I gotta say, I'm happy. Another question I've gotten is the iPad Pro worth it? I answered this question in my last video, and there's other Apple related videos on my channel as well. Don't forget to hit subscribe before you go, and I'll see you in the next one.